Dave here, and today we're going to check out the work of Xia Taptara. He's an artist, an art director based in Bangkok, Thailand. I actually remember seeing this guy back in high school, on YouTube, of course, and he would be one of those artists that kind of led the world of digital painting, along with Feng Zhu and, I can't really think of any aside from these two, but I remember watching a lot of his videos, and mostly his drawing girl videos, or how to draw a girl videos, or draw the female figure, because I was very interested in drawing chicks back in high school, just because it's very natural for a and I think he is one of those influencers in my life, I guess, that kind of pushed me into art, into like digital painting. So I'm kind of glad that I actually forgot about this guy for a while, and just because he hasn't been posting as much anymore, but I still like the way he paints. It's very direct, very chill. He does layer his he does like a sketch, like a basic rough sketch first, and then he'll do like a silhouette, a mask of the whole thing, and then he'll start painting within that kind of mask. It's kind of his process, and he hasn't changed much. I think he pretty much has his own method, so he's not like his past basic, like he's pretty established, I guess. His paintings, by the way, don't have a lot of texture in them. Sometimes he will photobash, so it does sometimes have, or has, sometimes his work will actually have textures in it, usually environments, but when it comes to characters, and he does more characters than environments, that's kind of his expertise, I guess. Most of his characters are kind of just painted, which is pretty impressive to me. So let's kind of just walk through his work here. He does have like a Gumroad, a YouTube channel, obviously, and I think he used to have a Patreon, but I'm not sure if he discontinued that thing. And of course, he does have an Instagram. But I do recommend you focus on his YouTube channel, because he does have like a library of videos. And again, he's been here for a very long time. Like ancient, kind of like Feng Zhu, right? And I'm pretty sure if you're kind of my age, if you're like in your mid-20s or early 20s, late 20s, you're pretty aware of this guy, Xia Taptara. And he can paint, But again, I kind of found it first through the drawing videos. Even today, I'm still kind of not as good, or I'm not very good at drawing, figures and shit, but I'm not that bad, And I think he did kind of leave a dent in my psyche when it comes to drawing figures, because he does draw them very simply. He's not very heavy on the anatomy. He just kind of simplifies a lot of the forms or the shapes, or he focuses more on the shape rather than, being very kind of analytical or anatomical about it. And you can tell he does have an expertise when it comes to painting faces, just because he has drawn and painted like a lot of girls. So his work is going to look a little better than mine. No shit. Even in this painting, look at the amount of texture. There's not a lot of texture. Maybe in the edges, in the background. There are brush strokes, I guess, that have like a splatter type of effect. Maybe here you can see a bit of dots, but most of it is actually very Photoshoppy, right? I think it's the smaller the stroke goes, it does add a bit of that texture, because as you stroke and stroke and you make smaller strokes after like smaller strokes, it just ends up like, for example, in this kind of elbow area here, you can see this kind of light part where it kind of meets the shadow part, and you can see like these little like bits of strokes, and it does add a bit of texture, I guess, but it's not like heavy in any way. And again, he likes to paint his shit, in kind of a mask kind of fashion, and then he paints within that mask. And he does have he'll do like a grayscale rough painting, and then he'll add the colors, which is kind of hard for me. I don't really have like a solid process yet. I do believe John Park has like a similar thing. Same with the I believe the Peter Moher Baker guy does the same thing. He'll do like a a rough sketch, a line sketch, and then he'll do like a basic grayscale painting, and then he'll start using the gradient maps and shit to kind of add some colors, right? And what's so cool is that his work isn't that refined. He's not an illustrator, you know. He's more of a concept artist, and which I'm glad to see, because sometimes I always say this in my art reviews, I always get where I seem pressured sometimes. I'm kind of intimidated whenever I see like really high quality art, and I just have to constantly remind myself that it's okay to not be super refined, right? It's okay to be artsy and impressionistic. That's always my go-to word, impressionistic, right? But it's not like he can't refine. I mean, you can tell in this painting, the background is super simple. You can see the basic, like a flat brush thing going on in the background and even in the foreground. But in this actual character, you know, the perspective is kind of off, but you can tell he knows how to paint and refine like what needs to be refined. Usually it's the head, the chest area, right? Although the perspective is pretty off with this kind of tail. And his painting is very even though he does use layers, he's not very like he's pretty rough, I guess. He's kind of like I did an art review of Brian Collins' work. They both have a similar kind of look where it's not super fancy. It's pretty just direct. Not like Feng Shui direct, but I would recommend the work of Brian Collins. I did an art review of his work, and if you compare Brian's work with Xia Taptara's work, it has a similar kind of ballsiness, right? And I love the kind of reflected lighting here. I think it's reflected lighting, right? Because there's something in the bottom. No shit. I'm trying to sound smart, but I don't have any ideas at the moment. Anyway, look at how the face here is like super refined compared to everything else. But yeah. And again, he does obviously focus more on figures, characters. He'll dabble sometimes in like environment, concept art, but you can tell he does have like a lean. Here you can tell he did use some photo bashing. And he does have like a lot of process videos on his YouTube. Like he just has a library of videos, which I think is something I actually want to aim for. You know, I want to leave something behind, right? And I think is like a great resource along with Feng Shui. This is actually giving me a bit of like a Star Wars kind of vibe. But yeah, but it does look a bit flat, right? I believe he did kind of add in this kind of rhino and then painted over it, my guess. But it's a nice kind of wallpaper art, I guess, or screensaver perhaps. Nice birds here to indicate some scale. Yeah, these are more like mood paintings, or they're not really about the design, or they actually lean more towards an illustration. Like it's actually a bit refined here. We're just trying to communicate the narrative of the place. It's not necessarily about the design. And you can tell he did photo bash here to just make it a bit more realistic, save time with the details, right? And I actually find his drawings, his sketches way more alluring, just because even though they're very rough, it does have that kind of energy in them. And obviously he does mostly girls, so that's kind of a bonus. And look at how he draws like the legs and the arms. It's just like a bunch of shapes, bunch of lines. This is not very like, if you check out Steve Zapata's work, he's a friend, I guess, of Ahmed Al-Duri. He does have a very anatomical way of drawing, where it's very kind of refined, not very shape heavy. I mean, he's obviously thinking of shapes sometimes, but like he goes into the anatomy like pretty fast. But for Xia Taptara, he does keep it simple. He does stylize the face a bit. It's a bit kind of anime. It's semi-realistic, semi-anime-ish. But yeah, and it's pretty good with the expressions too. It's not just a standard like face. This actually does remind me a bit of Ahmed Al-Duri. I guess Ahmed. I guess Xia is more like Ahmed than Steve Zapata. just because of the sketchiness, perhaps. When it comes to like the rough sketches, Ahmed Al-Duri actually has been like doing quite a few videos recently. I think he took kind of like a long break. I'm not sure why, but he's back, I guess. I'm not sure what his schedule is though, but another rough sketch by Xia here. And again, I did check out his Patreon, but I don't think it's working, or it's not like, I think it's turned off or something. Yeah, not very useful information there, but okay, a 30-minute sketch, not bad. Reminds me a bit of what's the guy's name? Frank Rosetta, just because of the design of his character, the very, not tribal, but not cannibalistic, but kind of like a caveman, cavewoman kind of look. Granted, it's not very practical, but you know, makes sense. And a basic kind of coloring. I mean, look at the way he colors. It's not very, obviously it's not finished, but the way he paints is just kind of super direct and not very flashy. And look at how he limits his brushes to just like, in this case, a simple flat brush that's kind of in a diagonal position, right? I guess he doesn't have like a lot of brush variety in his work, and I think that's why his work does look a bit photoshoppy, like it's too smooth sometimes for me. Personally, of course, I would go for the more textured, gritty kind of route, just because that's my thing. But look at the face. Look at the face here. Obviously very rendered, right? And he has experience. And I've noticed he does have like a style, like a facial style. He can deviate from it sometimes, but I kind of want to develop that thing as well, where my faces kind of have like a template, and I can just kind of offshoot from that whenever I need to. Because there's like a painting style, but there's also like a design style, right? Or a fashion style, or like human anatomy kind of style. Like you kind of have like a very, like you have a go-to set of proportions when it comes to like the face, the body, right? And Xia, given that he's been doing this forever, you know, he does have, now this one's kind of an offshoot from his like more pretty stuff, more semi-realistic. This one is a bit stylized here. Reminds me of the Evangelion suit, right? A bit refined. And he likes to kind of redden the nose often. Like it gives the kind of stuffy nose look, which is kind of cute, but you know, for those of you who have allergies, it's kind of like a traumatic thing. I mean, again, not a lot of textures in his work. Very, very bold. Very, very direct, right? In this case, it's actually kind of, it's not super refined. It's kind of impressionistic. But the impressionistic that I want is actually one that has a bit more variety when it comes to like the brushes. Xia does like to keep it simple. A Star Wars based thing, perhaps. With a tiger, no shit. And when it comes to his environments, it doesn't go for like very cinematic shots. Not a lot of like skewed kind of looks where it's almost like a keyframe. It's very kind of stable and standard. Tracer, I believe, from Overwatch. I remember the first time watching the trailer for the game, and there was this scene where she kind of fell, and I saw her, like they purposely gave this shot of her butt, and I'm glad I wasn't the only one to kind of, you know, notice, but yeah. Again, he does have like a same, it's very similar to this face right here. Very, very thick kind of eyebrows. Semi-realistic, I guess, or semi-stylized. He did use some textures here for this kind of bio suit thing. And he often, for his characters, he often likes to keep like, or add this very, very simple, almost like a gradient type of background to just help the character pop out a bit. But again, not a lot of texture when it comes to his work. Very, very smooth, which I'm not a big fan of, but I do like the way he can refine things, right? Especially when it comes to like faces, right? a screenshot, I guess, of his live stream, perhaps. Now this one does have a bit more texture, which I like. Simple gradient background to help the character pop out. And again, he does like using that kind of diagonal flat brush. So it's kind of like Feng Zhu, except his brush is kind of like, it runs kind of diagonally, right? Very rough sketch, but it's kind of enough to show a concept, right? It gets rougher as you go down. Oh, I think this is one of his famous pieces, or one of his memorable pieces. Just because the design is pretty interesting. It has that kind of Lord of the Rings kind of vibe. Is that a Mortal Kombat sign? Yeah, it does get rougher as you go further down. This is obviously a chain brush. I've seen this used a lot. It's not very common now, but it's still kind of, I guess it helps save time, but it's not often used, you know. It's usually just kind of suggested anyway. The cape does fade out. Right? Oh yeah, he doesn't have a lot of creature designs. This is one of the rare instances where he actually does have like a creature. Oh, he does have like this seal thing, like this batch of like fish type of people, but yeah. Oh, I love this design. And again, I think it helps to just simplify your brushes whenever you're trying to focus more on the design. If we're trying to like get a feel of the environment and just kind of paint something from, you know, like in an inspired kind of fashion, maybe it's okay to kind of play around with your brushes to kind of generate ideas in that way and just kind of, you know, create happy accidents. But if you have something in mind, I think it's better to just keep your brush set pretty simple. And yeah, reminds me a bit of Bumblebee, just because of the, I guess, the wings in the back and the color, obviously. And look at how rough it is. It's not even that refined, but you can tell which part is which. How it's kind of placed with each other, or in relationship to one another. I can't talk. Slow the fuck down, Dave. Slow the fuck down. I'll just drink more. Fuck. Why am I rushing this video? Relax. It's an art review. Sorry about that. But yeah. So I guess it is kind of impressionistic. A bit of texture. It does have like a scratch-like kind of texture to kind of give it that roughed up look. This is obviously a Sharktopus. I believe the actual title of this character is it's some kind of Sharktopus, because it's, you know, part shark, part octopus. It reminds me of one of the there's this like series of films, like I believe they're like B-rated films, the Sharknado series where it's a combination of tornadoes and sharks. And anyway, another character design or creature design. It's part character, part creature. This is obviously a dog that's part fish. Very, very interesting design, but hey. And again, even though again with this environment, it does have a bit of texture, but you can tell it's pretty smooth, right? This type of work is not as common unless you do like anime types of work, where it helps to look kind of flat, or it helps if your image isn't as textured. There's this artist named Snappy. He does have like a lot of flat anime-ish types of illustrations, and I believe in a way I can put Xia in that category because his work is pretty smooth. Nice grayscale sketch. it's a mix of a line work and like a painting sketch. Oh shit, he does have like a brush for the braids. That's cheating. It's not, but yeah, that's kind of cheating, bro. But again, he does know how to draw pretty faces. So some basic shadows to kind of just make it a bit more 3D-ish, right? Not bad. I really want to be able to draw faces. I always say I want to draw faces, but I actually don't do them. Procrastinating again. Oh, this one's pretty cool. I believe he does have a video of this on his YouTube channel. Although he didn't start from like the beginning, he was kind of semi-done anyway. Although you can see him kind of refine the face a bit more. So it's obviously the Monkey King fighting some kind of snake or dragon, right? It's a great concept. It's not meant to be like a full illustration. Although if you kind of focus in on just the face, it does start to look like an illustration just because it's a bit more refined. But obviously as you go further out, you can see the kind of rough look. And again, when you're trying to communicate a concept while having like a complete frame, right, where everything is kind of painted, all you have to do is just really focus on that special 10 or 20% and you're kind of just done. Everything else can be just left as a kind of silhouette, right? Helps to save time. I do like the design of this helmet. It's very organic looking. Although I kind of wished this sort of design transferred more into like this part because there's this kind of disconnect. I really do like the helmet here. It feels sexy, right? Oh, it reminds me of KK Kotai. KK Kotai. He's another artist that really likes to draw and paint knights. Yeah. KK? Eventually, I will be doing an art review of his work because I do have. I know I have them in my like list of artists to review. Another kind of knight, but this one seems very demonic, almost like an orc. But look at how impressionistic. Very, very Ahmed Alduri-esque. With a bit of Feng Shui and obviously 100% Xia Taptara. Now this one does have a bit more texture. Maybe it's because he's trying to say something about the armor, how it's not like a knight per se, like it's like this is obviously some kind of bad guy. And bad guys are usually rough. Ooh, roughest. Yeah. Oh, this one does have a bit more brush variety, right? Oh, he used the chain brush again. That's cheating. Nice whip. Ooh, kinky. Again, look at how he's very shape heavy in the beginning, and then obviously with the way he paints, because he'll obviously add values and lighting, it will start to look more 3D. Even the way he painted the hands, it's pretty simple. He didn't really define the knuckles too much, and even the fingers. It's really just the shape. You can tell there's a bit of rendering involved with the legs and in the arms, obviously with the face and with the cleavage, right? But it's pretty rough, especially when it comes to like the fashion or the attire. Not very practical though, but I get it, you know, fan service. Oh, this one's actually pretty cool. Like, oh, this one is a bigger. Or he posted the bigger version or the enlarged version or the original version, I guess, when he painted this. I mean, look at how chaotic that is. But if you zoom out, it looks right? It actually does have a bit of that gouache-like kind of approach, where it's very shape-heavy when you're trying to layer values, and also when you're not trying to render it per se, where you're not trying to smoothen things out. When it comes to the armor, he does smoothen it a bit, but you can tell with the amount of scribbles that he has, it's very, very not meant to be rendered. Reminds me of an interior illustrator by the name of Jeremiah something. He does like, he's dead now, but or he passed away. RIP. But he does like a lot of, or he did a lot of interior illustrations in gouache, and they were obviously very impressionistic, and I just love the way it was, like it's so chaotic, but it just feels so right in the eyes. Jeremiah something. Fuck. Ooh, hunky. Goals. He doesn't have nipples, so that's kind of not realistic. Obviously, it's a sketch, but as a concept, you know, he's just trying to figure out like the sense of this character. He's obviously buff. He's older. He has a beard. He's balding, right? He's obviously a warrior, and again, it doesn't even have to be completely finished. It can have that kind of rough look, similar to Ahmed Al-Duri's work, because a lot of Al-Duri's work is pretty rough, which I do like, and it's often enough to communicate the idea. Even when you're trying to design or develop your own like stories for yourself, it's a great reminder to not render everything to like, you know, to that kind of full version, because you're kind of just wasting time. You know, you can save that shit for later when you're trying to market your project or your work. But when it comes to like figuring things out, it's okay to not fully develop things. You know. Now this one's actually pretty hot. He uses a lot of dark grays for these sketches, right? Because in his previous work, he wouldn't go this dark. I like her. She's cute. Very, very mean-ish. Kind of bitchy, but yes. Again, look at the way he drew the legs here. It's just the shape. If he wanted to, he could just, you know, add a bit more values and render things out just a bit to kind of make it more fleshy, right? Make it more rounded, more cylindrical. But it's essentially a flat sketch, where there's hardly any rendering. There's a bit of texture for the fur to just, you know, indicate fur, but that's pretty much it. Reminds me a bit of Mulan, but Mulan is a bit more, I don't know, well put. But yeah. Sassy. Ugh, hunky. Again, very rough sketch. I think he did like post a lot of like a step-by-step process of this. Obviously he did not like finish this illustration. This is kind of the final version of it, but this is how it started. Look at how rough it is. And I do like seeing when artists or I do like seeing really rough and not so pretty sketches, especially when professional artists do it, just because it shows you that, you know, even when you're established, even when you're there already, you know, in that kind of top tier level, you won't have like pretty sketches always, you know. Sketches don't always have to be pretty, you know. They're there as a sketch, you know, to kind of just start off the idea. Eventually, as you go further, you can refine things and make it more pretty, right? He obviously did focus more on the head here, the helmet design, and a bit of the chest and this kind of arm here. And as you go further out, it becomes like flatter. This one's pretty refined. I think he did like a batch of these where they're pretty refined. I believe he did this for a game, I think, or a game pitch. It's a bit more like this one, and this one does remind me a bit of Trent Kanuga, like the way he paints. Not a lot of textures as well. Kind of saturated. Trent Kanuga does have like a very saturated type of style. This one's a bit muted, but it's way more rendered compared to these two right here. I feel. Oh, this one's pretty rendered, especially when it comes to like top part, the head especially. But here, I feel like it's just a bit more. Maybe it's because of the reflection here in the chest plate. Yeah, this one is a bit more realistic, I guess. But look at how the shift happens here. Look at how realistic it happened, or it is here, and then it won't take long for it to just essentially be flat and very basic, right? Even the background is just like a bunch of gradients. Yeah. Now this one I believe is a 30-minute speed painting. Now I don't like the way he added the pinks here, but I do like this kind of kaiju dragon thing. It's a very rough, quick 30-minute painting, but to me, I believe he did use custom shapes here. He probably made a lasso selection here for this kind of protrusion, and then he added a few custom shapes to just add a bit of texture. And for the dragon here, he did have, I'm guessing, texture brushes. Very rough, but it's enough. It's better if you kind of zoom out. Yeah. Although again, the frame is not super cinematic, right? Cinematic. Oh, this one does have the same kind of rendering level. It's a bit less compared to like these sorts of knights or warriors, but they're there. It's part character, part creature. It's a is it called a centaur? Fuck me. In the background you can tell custom shapes. And I believe Sparth was one of the big name artists that really kind of popularized the use of custom shapes to save time. Because before that it was just photo bashing, right? But yeah. Another kind of design. He did hide the face. Cheater. Kind of like Anthony Jones. I get it. It's part of the design, but it's kind of cheating, and I would probably do the same thing. But I do want to be able to draw. Well, it's not really cheating because he can draw and paint really nice looking faces. But so I guess these are more project based. But yeah. I believe this is his most recent piece. It's actually a bit more refined to me, even though it's kind of it's cleaner, I guess. It's not so much refined, but it's just cleaner, right? Less chaos, less impressionism, more contained, more refined. Not refined in the sense of like marketable refined, but just cleaner, you know, like more contained. So that's it for this video, this art review of Xia Taptara's work. I do recommend you subscribe to his YouTube channel. He did, you know, play a part in my career, I guess. I mean, I don't really have a career yet because I'm kind of just fucked. And I'm guessing you are fucked as well, you know, right now, just because you're just, you know, you're kind of figuring things out and shit like that, and you're kind of establishing yourself. And chances are, you know, I've checked the demographics of my views, and most of the people that watch or subscribe to my channel are in their like late teens to early 30s. So it's kind of like mostly people in their 20s. So we're kind of fucked. And it's going to take time for us to develop, but yeah. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this video, this art review of Xia Taptara. Subscribe to his YT channel. He does have an art station. I will link it in the description below. He does have a Gumroad, so maybe, you know, check out his shit, buy his shit. And yeah, keep drawing, keep painting, and stay free.